These are this afternoon's top stories. Young man fatally shot in Newtown. Guyana lobbies JetBlue and Mount McKinley renamed Denali. Good afternoon and welcome to the ZIZ Mid newscast. Today is Monday, 31st August 2015. I'm Carla Berridge. In national news, German Francis has been named the victim of Sunday night's fatal shooting. According to Police Press and Public Relations Officer Inspector Lyndon David, the incident occurred at approximately 10:45 p.m. when the Central West Street resident, who was formerly of Sandy Point, was attacked by an unknown armed assailant. Members of our news team visited Pitcairn Street in Newtown after hearing of the shooting incident. While there, we observed police officers carrying out preliminary investigations. This morning, Inspector David confirmed that Francis had died on the scene. The police urges anyone with information regarding this incident to contact the Violent Crimes Unit at 467-1886, 1887 or 1888, the nearest police station, or Crime Stoppers at 1-800-8477. St. Kitts and Nevis has allocated an EC $1 million humanitarian relief package to assist the Commonwealth of Dominica in its recovery from damages suffered by the passage of Tropical Storm Erica. The announcement was made by Prime Minister the Honorable Dr. Timothy Harris at the completion of a special session of Cabinet of Ministers held on Friday, August 28th. St. Kitts and Nevis' assistant to Dominica came after conversations between Prime Minister Harris and Dominica's Roosevelt Skerritt, who indicated that damage to his country was monumental, resulting in significant loss of life and infrastructural damage that has isolated several communities. The Caribbean Disaster and Emergency Agency, SDEMA, is currently in Dominica conducting a needs assessment, and Prime Minister Harris said that other support and services for Dominica would be forthcoming based on their report. Prime Minister Harris also said that Minister of State, the Honorable Senator Wendy Phipps, will coordinate St. Kitts and Nevis' national effort in support of Dominica. Meanwhile, the vessel carrying relief supplies from St. Kitts Nevis to Dominica safely arrived this morning. MV Miss Abigail arrived in Portsmouth, Dominica at 5:30 p.m. on Sunday, August 30th, and was scheduled to be in Roseau at midday today. Tofida Stewart, president of the Rotary Club of Liamiga, said the consignment to Dominica has a combination of cargo.
We have cargo that is destined to the Rotary Club of Dominica, and the Rotary Club of Dominica will be collaborating with the Rotary Club of Portsmouth to distribute the cargo using the Rotarians and the Rotaractors on the ground within the communities. In addition to that, we have cargo from other non-governmental organizations like the Red Cross. So those cargo will be going directly to the Red Cross. And as you know, persons would have sent personal cargoes to their loved ones. So those cargoes will be cleared by those loved ones. So that's basically how it will be distributed.
Stewart said because the drive was done in such a short period of time, some persons did not get the opportunity to get their cargo to the vessel on time. However, it will be extended to accommodate persons who still want to make a donation.
So what we have done is that we're collaborating with the Dominican Association here on St. Kitts and Nevis, and they will be coordinating the collections of the cargo to take it to Dominica from here. At the moment, the collection point is at Rams Duty Free, Port Dante, and if there are additional bulky cargo, then persons can call 663-5670, and arrangements would be made for collection and drop-off of the larger cargo. It is expected that we will have about 2 vessels coming in sometime during this week, so the cargo will get to Dominica in a timely fashion.
A bank account will be made available shortly for persons wishing to donate funds. The account will be called the Rotary Dominica Relief Fund. In the meantime, the name of the banking institution and bank account number will be broadcast during the course of the day. Again, persons still wishing to send supplies can drop them off at Rams Duty Free at Port Zante, Bastia, or call 663-5670. Regionally, JetBlue Airlines has been lobbied by a large Guyanese contingent on social media to add Guyana to its route. Caribbean Entertainment Everyday Network, or CEEN-TV, says currently the Guyanese population, which has a large population on the east coast of the United States, said they face very steep airfares to visit their homeland.
And Aviation specialists are predicting that if the U.S.-based airline adheres to calls to add Guyana to its itinerary, it could be a game changer. One such specialist, Vinay Bashara, reportedly stated in a recent article that in 2013, JetBlue had made a presentation which showed potential growth in a route from Fort Lauderdale to Guyana. JetBlue has not issued an official response to the lobbying, only allegedly stating to Caribbean News Now that it has no decision on a Guyana route at this time. Currently, Caribbean Airlines is the only major airline with a route to Guyana from New York. Airfare to Guyana costs as much as $900 round trip, which is believed to remain steady even in off-peak seasons. Recently, Copa Airlines, Incel, Fly Jamaica and Suriname Airlines have entered the Guyana air market from the U.S., but that has not lowered the cost of it.
In Antigua, the Department of Agriculture is still trying to find ways to eradicate the giant African snail population, which has grown out of control. The department says the situation is a national crisis and would take the involvement of key stakeholders to contain. More in this ABS TV News report.
The invasive species continue to impact farmers in a very significant way, especially in the areas of St. Mary's North and St. Mary's South. Minister of Agriculture, the Honorable Arthur Nibbs, is aiming for the reduction of the population in Antigua and Barbuda before the problem escalates any further. Chief of Staff in the Office of the Prime Minister Lionel Hur says Cabinet has agreed to do everything possible to ensure that the resources are given to the Ministry of Agriculture so that they can purchase the poison and other items needed to eradicate as many of the snails as possible. The giant African snail is considered to be one of the worst snail pests in the tropics and subtropics, consuming large volumes of native plants, modifying habitats, and outcompeting native snails. The giant African snail is very invasive and feeds on over 500 species of plants. It can grow as large as 8 inches in length and 4 inches in width. The pest originated in Africa and has since spread to Asia, the Americas, islands in the Pacific and Indian Oceans, and now the West Indies. Alciana Tito reporting for ABS News.
Internationally, CBS News' Book Silver Braga reports that ahead of his trip to Alaska to promote his environmental agenda, President Obama renamed the continent's highest peak from Mount McKinley to Denali. Alaskan natives have unofficially called the mountain Denali, which means the high one, for years.
It is no longer Mount McKinley. The 20,000-foot peak in Alaska, the tallest spot on the continent, is returning to its old name, Denali. It means the Great One in the language of Native Alaskans, who say the name change means respect.
It's a reflection of really acknowledging the value of the culture of the people of Alaska, the first peoples of Alaska.
William McKinley was a presidential candidate from Ohio when a gold prospector suggested calling the peak McKinley. Many Alaskans scoffed at their mountain being named after a Midwesterner.
For generations, Alaskans have known this majestic mountain as the Great One.
Republican Senator Lisa Murkowski of Alaska thanked the president, but the Ohio congressional delegation, which has fought the name change for years, objected. On Twitter, Ohio Senator Rob Portman said the name change was another example of the president going around Congress. Today, the president heads to Alaska for a 3-day trip where he'll face a bigger political fight as he visits melting glaciers to highlight climate change.
If we do nothing, Alaskan temperatures are projected to rise between 6 and 12 degrees by the end of the century.
Obama will become the first sitting president to visit the Arctic Circle. President McKinley was never able to see the peak that bore his name for 98 years. In New York, Brooke Silva Brackett for CBS News.
Militants target the Temple of Bel, a Roman-era structure in the ancient city of Palmyra, according to Observer Group. From Reuters news agency, Sean Carber reports.
The ancient city of Palmyra in Syria was a cultural hub of the ancient world. Today, what's left is being destroyed by Islamic State militants. According to the Syrian Observatory for Human Rights, Islamic State has blown up part of the Temple of Bel, a Roman-era structure in the center of the city. Last week, Islamic State detonated explosives in the Baal Shaman temple. The extent of the damage to the World Heritage Site isn't known. Islamic State seized Palmyra from government forces in May and has kept a tight grip on communications in the city. This month, the group beheaded the 82-year-old Syrian archaeologist who had looked after Palmyra's ruins for 4 decades. Militants hung his body in public, according to Syria's antiquities chief. Islamic State has destroyed a number of historic sites and monuments across Iraq and Syria.
Taking a look at the weather. The St. Kitts Meteorological Office says dry and stable conditions persist across the region. However, a weak trough of low pressure will increase the chances of brief cloudiness and showers later tonight. Skies today will be sunny to partly sunny and hazy. Tonight, conditions will be partly cloudy with brief passing showers. Temperatures recorded at 82 degrees Fahrenheit. Winds are from the east-northeast towards the east at 7 to 16 miles per hour. Seas are moderate with waves up to 5 feet. That brings us to the end of the ZIZ Mid newscast. Join us this evening for these stories and more in detail. Thank you for joining us. I'm Kyla Berridge.